The Nightbeat starts right now.
New tonight on the Nightbeat, David Hernandez is one of the latest San Antonio area police officers charged with domestic violence. Arrest records show he grabbed a woman by her neck and then pushed her against a wall last month, injuring her.
Bethesda Night Team's Dylan Collier discovered there were plenty of signs of trouble in Hernandez's past before then, both on duty and off duty, and yet he continued to work as a police officer. It's tonight's Defenders Report.
There's an altercation going on between my friend and his girlfriend.
San Antonio police officers were called to this duplex on Cranberry Hill 15 times in less than 15 months for disturbances, assaults in progress, and family violence. The West Side address became so familiar to SAPD officers, they knew the parties involved in the multiple calls as soon as they pulled up. One of the common denominators, according to incident report after incident report obtained by the defenders,
San Antonio Police Department, how may I help you?
Off-duty police officer David Hernandez, sometimes listed as a suspect, sometimes listed as a victim or witness, but always there.
And what's his name?
His name's David Hernandez.
Hernandez's repeated encounters with police played out as he worked for two area law enforcement agencies. First, the Helotes Police Department, and then Von Army PD. Hernandez's brushes with the law culminated with his May 1st arrest for family violence.
And while Hernandez's personal life appeared to be mired in drama, his work history in recent years was rocky at best. He resigned his position with Helotes PD last year while facing termination, then landed a job 22 miles away in Von Army just 2 months later.
Until recently, it's been really hard to study cases like this systematically.
Ben Grunwald is an associate professor of law at Duke University. Last year, he co-authored a breakthrough study published in the Yale Law Journal titled The Wandering Officer. It examined members of law enforcement like Hernandez who get fired or step down while being investigated for misconduct, only to pop up in another, usually smaller town. Grunwald found that wandering officers,
they are twice as likely to get fired as an officer who's never been fired before in their career.
In Hernandez's case, his tenure in Helotes tarnished by a pair of episodes less than 2 years apart. In 2018, a department camera caught Hernandez using foul language and directing rude and condescending behavior toward a motorist during a traffic stop, while also committing the same violation he accused the driver of, speeding through a parking lot close to pedestrians. Hernandez was suspended 3 days and placed on probation at work for 6 months. Last year, another incident. This time, while in uniform but working an off-duty security job, Hernandez showed up at this house outside Devine in Medina County and showed the woman living there a list of items owed to her estranged husband. It was different than what was on file with the court. Records show Hernandez also repeatedly said it was okay for the husband to be at the property while the belongings were gathered, even though the man had pending criminal charges for domestic violence. A subsequent investigation found that Hernandez violated a long list of police department rules. But after first issuing Hernandez a termination, Helotes city officials now acknowledge he was allowed to resign, making it even easier for Hernandez to slide into another law enforcement job. This claim from Von Army's police chief that officials there were not aware of the Medina County incident, and that when they reviewed Hernandez's personnel file in Helotes last summer, the documents pertaining to it were not in his file. Grunwald says the poor sharing of information is unfortunately common among police departments.
Some agencies simply don't know that they're hiring a wandering officer, either because the officer didn't put it on their application, the agency did no background check, or the background check was ineffective.
For the defenders, Dylan Collier, KSAT 12 News.
Now, when reached by phone, the police chief of Helotes denied that Hernandez's discipline records weren't in his file and said that Von Army officials had access to the same information the defenders were able to get. Hernandez was fired by Von Army 2 days after his assault arrest. He is scheduled to be back in court on July 26th.
People in a northwest Bexar County community are stepping in to help their neighbors who just lost everything in a dangerous fire this morning. The fire in the hills of Shanefield neighborhood sent 10 people to the hospital, including an officer with Northside ISD. Neighbors tell us there were also children rescued from the second floor.
I could hear the screaming, and that's when we both ran down and saw that the house was on fire.
Ann Conlon and her husband jumped right in along with other neighbors on the 11,000 block of Dublin Field to get people out of this burning home.
I know a couple of when I say kids, I think it was the older one, slid down the ladder.
The fire broke out after 6 in the morning, injuring 5 kids and 5 adults in the house. Conlon said the heat was intense.
When I first came out onto my porch, I could feel the heat. Hot, very hot. And it was just eerie.
Briefly talking to the homeowner, she learned that the fire caught the victims in their sleep.
By the time they woke up, from what I'm understanding, the flames were already out of control. Like that.
Conlon says it was so intense, she too had to evacuate her pets.
The fire was coming out that window and it was hitting ours.
And the fire is believed to have started on the second floor, but the fire marshal is investigating the cause. No word on the condition of the victims tonight. The neighbors are uniting to help the family by collecting items they'll need to rebuild.
An overnight building fire could have been a dangerous situation for both the people inside and firefighters who responded. That fire broke out just before 4 o'clock this morning at a former car dealership on Oakdale Drive, not far from I-10 and Loop 410. It is a building where people are known to squat. Fire officials say scattered cardboard and piles of clothing were on fire, making it difficult to rescue the people inside.
As you can see, if you look inside the building, there's a lot of ceiling panels and wiring and stuff hanging. When we've got fires in here, there's almost zero visibility, so it's an entanglement hazard for our firefighters as they go into the structure to search it for people.
A spokesperson with the City of San Antonio Development Services says building inspectors will assess and decide what steps to take next there, which could be cleaning up the area to secure the building or to start the process of demolishing it.
The partial demolition of the Witt Press building started yesterday. The development of the property was a topic of passionate efforts to save the historic building. The city's Historic and Design Review Commission approved the partial demolition of it, allowing for the development to move forward. The plan included the preservation of the front concrete facade as well as the 2 side walls. The Witt Print building is part of the city's and nation's Mexican-American history.
New leadership, support, and empowerment for people who are blind and visually impaired. The San Antonio Lighthouse for the Blind and Visually Impaired named Cynthia Watson as their new president and CEO. She is one of only a handful of non-sighted CEOs who now head major nonprofits. While in undergraduate school, Watson shared she was experiencing more vision loss and came to the Lighthouse for help.
So it's truly a full circle moment for me to be named the next president and CEO when I was here receiving services as a client many years ago.
Watson also served in a similar facility in Seattle. The transition comes after Mike Gilliam announced his retirement in San Antonio. Watson begins her new role on August 9th.
The Fiesta festivities officially underway. Fiesta kicking off at Hemisphere Park, which with crowds of people decked out in crowns and medals and, of course, all the fun.
Yeah, the heat didn't keep anybody away tonight. It is a time many have waited for, especially after last year's cancellation of Fiesta. The Night Team's Jonathan Cotto tells us what Fiesta goers are saying after a year of social isolation.
Parades, live music, crazy hats, and of course, medals. Fiesta kicking off with plenty of excitement. Some people even showing off their dance moves. People say it's great to see life getting back to normal.
We've been cooped up, nobody's seen each other in so long. We're so happy to be back and celebrating, raising money for charities and scholarships, so we're very happy.
The COVID-19 pandemic canceled last year's Fiesta activities. This Fiesta enthusiast says everyone is out, enjoying life to the max.
After what we've been through for the past 15 months or so, it is just so wonderful to see people out having a blast, hugging, and just getting together and just having an awesome time. And that's what Fiesta's all about.
Gloria Valenzuela, a lifelong resident, says it's a time of year she absolutely looks forward to.
This is one time that I get to be me and I go a little bit crazy. And I love Fiesta and Viva Chicken on a Stick!
And right under the Tower of Americas at Hemisphere Park, Fiesta's back and in full effect.
KSAT, we love you! Viva Fiesta! Viva!
Tim, Patty, the fireworks show just concluding moments ago. The crowds are starting to clear out, and one thing is for certain, Adam Caskey loves Fiesta. I've been a victim of Caskey's El Cañón de Caskey all evening long. Now, we know Fiesta is originally scheduled for April this year. It's been pushed back to this month, June. Now, the list of events have been cut back to 50 compared to 115 in years past. And for a complete list of things to do, you can head on over to KSAT.com. Reporting live from Hemisphere Park, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Jonathan. His first Fiesta, and it looks like Caskey made sure he goes home with plenty of it with him. Still ahead on the Nightbeat, a piece of history now recognized as a national holiday. We hear from one organizer who is preparing a Juneteenth celebration right here at home.
Plus, an update on the Austin mass shooting, a juvenile sharing the moments that led up to the shooting and changed the lives of so many. Next on the Nightbeat.
One life cut short, the lives of 13 others changed forever. An affidavit reveals the mass shooting in Austin began with an exchanging of stares. One of the juveniles hurt in the shooting told police he first met one of the suspects, 17-year-old Jeremiah Tabb, back in middle school. That juvenile was with a group of friends on the 6th Street on Saturday night when Tabb and his own friends came across each other. According to the affidavit, Tabb asked if they wanted to fight. Police say Tabb then began to shoot. The juvenile told police his friend, who is also a minor, then pulled out a gun and returned fire. Police have said most of the victims were innocent bystanders. During an interview, the juvenile told police Tabb had already shot him in the leg a few days earlier, just north of Austin in the city of Killeen. Meanwhile, Governor Greg Abbott visiting the Alamo City today to announce new gun measures.
I'm signing 7 laws that protect Second Amendment rights in the Lone Star State.
One of those laws allows most Texans who are 21 or older to carry a handgun without a permit or any training. Police have expressed concern over that measure. Abbott referred to the new law as, quote, the biggest and best of them all, end quote. State law, along with others, all 6 others, will take effect on September. You can see a breakdown of all those bills right now on KSAT.com.
The city of San Antonio is leasing a downtown hotel to use as a shelter for people experiencing chronic homelessness. The city council approved a 1-year lease of the Days Inn on East Houston near I-37. SAM Ministries will run the facility. The program is meant to help get people their ID and documents needed to get into permanent housing solutions. SAM Ministry expects to have about 250 people through the year. The lease begins on July 1st. For the first time in nearly 40 years, Congress approving a new federal holiday, Juneteenth or June 19th. It's been described as a second Independence Day. June 19, 1865 marks the day the news of slavery being abolished reached Galveston, Texas. That's 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. An annual Juneteenth celebration at Comanche Park will have added significance because of the federal designation.
But I also believe that we have to understand that to make it even greater, we have to at least understand where we've come from so we know where we're going.
The annual Juneteenth festival at Comanche Park will happen tomorrow and Saturday. It will take place from 11 in the morning to 11 at night. We also have more Juneteenth events listed on KSAT.com.
Let's have a live look right outside right now with Sky 12. There is a familiar sight we haven't seen in quite some time. Fiesta Carnival. Nice. The lights are out there. The rides are going. People are probably still a little sweaty, though.
Yeah, it is still plenty warm out there, that's for sure. At least we got the humidity to drop off a little bit this afternoon. It certainly wasn't refreshing or anything out there, but those dew points dropped into the 60s this afternoon, and that helps it to just not be so oppressively muggy out there, but certainly still warm at this hour. Let's check out today's almanac here in San Antonio. Morning low of 73. That's right at average for this time of year, and our high of 94 is just 1 degree above average. So I know it's hot out there, but definitely could be hotter this time of year. You saw the record for today, 104. We were a solid 10 degrees below that. I'll take it. At this hour, 70s and 80s, with the exception of Del Rio. You're still in the low 90s at this hour. It's 81 in Rock Springs, 82 down in Pleasanton. Our dew points again dropped into the 60s this afternoon and this evening for most of us, along and east of 35. Still some dew points in the 70s, but when you can get those dew points even in the afternoons into the mid 60s, that again just takes a little bit of the edge off the humidity. Not much of a breeze at this hour. Winds are calm from Fredericksburg down through Kerrville and New Braunfels. Calm winds from Pleasanton to Beeville as well. Everyone else just about 5 to 10 miles per hour. We'll see winds generally become light, about 2 to 5 miles per hour overnight. Temperatures dropping down into the low to mid 70s, mostly clear skies. No rain in the forecast overnight tonight and tomorrow. Another toasty day. Highs will be back in the mid 90s, right about average for this time of year. Winds east 5 to 10 miles per hour. And so, yeah, another pretty toasty day for us as we wrap up the week. As far as any rain goes today, a couple of very, very little spotty showers tried to get going this afternoon. And there's one left in DeWitt County, just off to the north of Cuero, southwest of Hallettsville. I don't think this little shower there near Yoakum has much life left in it, but maybe a couple of showers there north of Cuero in DeWitt County. Otherwise, it is quiet here across our part of Texas and really across a good portion of the Lone Star State. If you've been with us this week, we've been tracking this area of disturbed weather out in the Gulf of Mexico. This is an area of cloud cover, some shower and thunderstorm activity that since really early this week, last weekend, has been trying to organize itself here in the Gulf of Mexico. Tonight, it's still very poorly organized, according to the National Hurricane Center, and they have held off on dubbing this a tropical depression. It's really lopsided. All that deep red color there, that's really healthy convection or healthy shower and thunderstorm activity. But the center of this system is actually closer to the central western Gulf of Mexico, so it's very lopsided. It's had a hard time strengthening or organizing itself. It may have a little bit more time tonight and tomorrow to become a tropical depression, potentially a tropical storm. If it does get to tropical storm status sometime tomorrow before making landfall, likely along the Louisiana Gulf Coast, it would take the name Claudette. So tropical storm warnings are out for a good portion of the Louisiana Gulf Coast from south of Baton Rouge through New Orleans over through the Mississippi and Alabama Gulf Coast as well. They're looking at wind gusts 45 miles per hour, some storm surge here along the coastal communities up to 2 feet, and then possibly 2 to 4 inches of rain. It's likely going to be closer to 5 inches of rain for some parts of the Gulf Coast. Not for us here in Texas. We'll be on the west side of that tropical system as we get into tomorrow night and the weekend. So that means for us, things are just going to be hot through Father's Day weekend. A look at your Friday, 74 in the morning, 94 your afternoon high, and we'll keep those highs in the mid to upper 90s all the way through Father's Day with temperatures peaking Monday early next week with a high of 98. It'll feel more like 105 plus in the afternoon, but hopefully some relief with some showers and storms by late Monday into Tuesday. Guys.
All right. Thanks, Katie. A good weekend for baseball for sure. Taking that daddy out.
Sounds like a good one. All right. So after a long career in Dallas, Rick Carlisle had a big surprise for folks.
Well, what's interesting is there's all kinds of drama in Dallas revolving around their biggest star, and now 2, including one executive, and their head coach is out. When we come back, how did that drama play out today? We'll let you know. And to play football or to broadcast, big decision for that young man right there coming up. In a shocking move today, Rick Carlisle resigned as the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, ending a 13-year career with the team, including the 2011 NBA championship. This comes less than 24 hours after longtime team president of basketball operations Donnie Nelson was fired yesterday. Carlisle released a statement that said in part, after a number of in-person conversations with Mark Cuban over the last week, today I informed him that I will not be returning as the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. This was solely my decision. Carlisle has been the NBA's third longest tenured coach behind the Spurs' Greg Popovich and the Heat's Eric Spoelstra until now. Observers believe friction between Carlisle and the team superstar Luka Doncic helped lead to Carlisle's departure. Doncic is already in Slovenia practicing with their national team for the delayed 2020 Summer Games starting on July 23rd. The firing of Nelson hit him especially hard since he was the one who scouted him as a teenager and then drafted him. Speaking at a press conference today, Doncic said, "It was kind of tough on me. I really like Donnie. I've known him since I was a kid, and he was the one who drafted me. It was tough for me seeing that, but I'm not making decisions there." Despite all the drama in Dallas, Doncic still is planning on signing his rookie max extension that is worth more than $200 million over the next 5 years. With Rick Carlisle stepping down, now that leaves 7 coaching vacancies in the NBA. That's after the Boston Celtics' Brad Stevens moved to the front office as president of the team after Danny Ainge retired. The New Orleans Pelicans fired Stan Van Gundy after only 1 season in an attempt to try and appease their star, Zion Williamson. Likewise, the Indiana Pacers says so long to Nate Bjorkgren after only 1 season. The Portland Trail Blazers saying goodbye to Terry Stotts after 9 seasons. The Orlando Magic firing Stephen Clifford after just 3 seasons with the team. And the Washington Wizards parting ways with Scotty Brooks. Spurs assistant coach Becky Hammon may now have more options after she scheduled an interview for both Portland and Orlando vacancies. Kevin Durant and the injury-riddled Nets trying to close out their series against the Bucks in Milwaukee tonight. First quarter, Brook Lopez blocks Joe Harris's layup attempt to start the break. Giannis Antetokounmpo gets the layup and draws the foul. Drew Holiday connects from downtown after that, and it's a 13-point Milwaukee lead. The Nets, Kevin Durant spins into the lane for the Duck to help the lead, cut that lead down to 7 after 1. Second quarter, Chris Middleton knocking down back-to-back 3-pointers just before halftime to give the Bucks an 11-point lead at the break. The Bucks pulled away in the fourth thanks to an 18-3 run and forced a Game 7 Saturday, 104-89. The Los Angeles Clippers are 1 win away from their first ever trip to the Western Conference Finals after they were able to steal a win in Salt Lake City to take a 3-2 lead in the best-of-7 semifinal series. And what made it even more amazing, they were able to do it without Kawhi Leonard, sidelined with a bad right knee that could keep him out of the rest of the series. So Paul George stepped up big time, turning one of the best postseason performances in his career. It's after the Jazz built a 10-point lead in the second quarter on a 13-2 run, finished up by Rudy Gobert's tip in. And then came the third quarter. The Clippers opened the second half on a 23-9 run, ending with back-to-back 3-pointers for George and Terrence Mann. The Clippers outscored the Jazz 32-18 in the third period. Paul George led the way with 37 points, 16 rebounds, and 5 assists in the 119-111 victory, and can now clinch the series and a trip to the Western Conference Finals with a win at home tomorrow.
There was just no secret coming into this. I just first put faith in God, believed in myself. My teammates trusted me. T-Lou trusted me. And, I thought we lived in the moment, and we just played our hearts out tonight.
The Atlanta Hawks were able to pull off the same thing the Clippers did, winning the pivotal Game 5 on the Sixers' home floor, and that's even after Philly's big third quarter. Philadelphia takes a 25-point lead on this Seth Curry basket with 3:35 left in the third. Cue the comeback. Danilo Gallinari's 3 caps off a 15-2 run. The Sixers lead is down to 9. Trae Young drops 39 on Philadelphia. The Sixers only made 1 field goal over the last 6 minutes and 20 seconds in the fourth. The Hawks finished the game on a 48-21 run over the last 15 minutes. They're now one win away from eliminating the Sixers 109-106. Game 6 is tomorrow back in Atlanta. After the game, Sixers head coach Doc Rivers talked about one of the biggest playoff meltdowns ever.
Down the stretch, listen, we scored 19 points and gave up 40. So it's on us. It's on all of us. It's on me. It's on the players. And we have to figure out how to get back up, which we will, and bring this game back here for Game 7.
Is Robert Griffin III about to give up playing for broadcasting football? Next.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
As former Baylor quarterback Robert Griffin III played his last down in the NFL, so is he about to enter the broadcast booth for either ESPN or Fox? The New York Post is reporting the two networks are in a bidding war for his services, but that he hasn't decided yet whether or not he still wants to continue to play. 31-year-old has played 7 seasons in the NFL after winning the Heisman Trophy and the NFL Rookie of the Year awards, but his auditions with both networks were outstanding, according to the Post, and now he has decisions to make. A big event for the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, which feeds the working poor and homeless of Bexar County. My friends at Haney & Company are putting together a golf tournament this summer to support St. Vinny's Bistro at Haven for Hope. It'll be on Monday, August the 23rd at the Quarry. You can register right now at www.haneycpas.com. And congratulations to everybody involved in tonight's Fiesta broadcast. It was magnificent.
Yeah, and someone should tell RG3 he should go to the broadcast booth. Nobody hits you up there.
Nobody hits you. And after Tony Romo gets $17 million, I'll take it.
Exactly. Thank you, Greg.
You got it.
All right, we'll be right back.